Cop Block Radio is filmed live in secret locations across the country. All co-hosts are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. What's up, guys? Another great episode, another great week. It's been a busy week.
Yes, we've got a lot to cover this week.
We got tons of stories, but it's been a really fun week. Not one of those sad weeks where you got to walk around with your head down because a cop blocker's been jailed or something like that. We didn't have anybody go to jail this week, did we, guys?
Actually, I think we did. I think we might have. Ademo, maybe?
Wearing a "fuck the police" shirt to court and telling the judge to jail you does not count as going to jail.
That's true. I mean, I think that was. I mean, we all obviously know that was the intention, but at the same time, the man still did spend 24 hours inside of a cage, so he went to jail. You know what? But before we jump into all of that, why don't we say hello to our special guest host tonight, Josh Hoskins? How you doing, Josh?
Hello. Howdy, Cop Block Listening Land.
Josh is the founder of, what is it, Iowa City Cop Block?
Mm-hmm.
As well as quite a few other projects, right?
Yeah, I write for a few other sites, too. I write for my own two sites, advancedape.com and unicornworld.org, as well as for a marijuana business-themed website, sprout.news.
Very cool.
I heard that you officially made the big time today, Josh. Chris Cantwell just about you.
Yeah. He called me a commie in the middle of his racist rant, so...
You mean he didn't call you a cuck?
No, I think he saved that for Mr. Adam Kokesh.
Yeah. This guy's going off the deep end. I don't even feel like he deserves a plug on the show, but hey, Chris Cantwell, he's a lunatic. If you really want to crack up, just go and listen to his show.
I would definitely tell you what I call him, but unfortunately our LRN buddies over there are going to bleep me if I do. So just know I have a very nice vulgar nickname for him. I am not a fan of that man.
I call him Chris Can't Get Well. He's just got a... He's like an angry man. That's all he is like a balding, angry man that yells at attacks everybody and wants to hang all the liberals. And I don't know. I guess it can kind of be funny, but he's actually serious about it, and he does have a kind of insane following that the kind of follow.
I don't know if you saw it today, but he actually came out and said that his followers are a bunch of autistic children. I don't think that that's a good way to keep your followers around. I mean, they might have become autistic children the second you started backing and spouting Trump propaganda. I think that's about the time that your entire audience went autistic, but that's just me.
No, I think he went autistic. He went full retard.
But let's not get political tonight.
No, let's not. But I do want to bring up something. Josh, were you around when I heard a rumor that he actually used to blog for us?
Yeah, he did. I think that a little over a year ago was his last blog. Wow. He did, and
if I put his name into the search engine on copblock.org, some stories will come up with his writing.
Perhaps. I'm not sure if Ademo's kept his name in the system. If not, they'll come up as probably just as Cop Block for the writer, but yeah, I'm sure that you'd at least find something cached. Wow,
that's pretty cool. I find that amusing because he came after us pretty hard, and I was wondering why, because I'd never heard of the guy before. But now I know why. He got fired, right? He said some outlandish he incited violence, is what I heard.
Yeah, I to be honest, I don't even remember because I tried to put that guy out of my mind for a really long time, but
he's been out of my mind for a while. It's just coming back up on the cycle where I can start trolling him again. So it's fun.
I mean, I kind of put him in the same category as we have Larry.
God, don't give that guy a plug on the show.
I was thinking they should do a video or podcast together. That'd be great.
It would be the most boring thing you could watch.
No, I have to watch for an episode or two. I don't know why. There's something about Larry that makes me want to keep watching. It's like one of those car wrecks that you can't, that you know it's about to get really ugly, but you can't look away because it's just, you don't want to miss that.
Well, I agree with you. It's one of those things that when you watch the video, you expect him any second to just break out in tears and have a moment where he realizes what his life has become. Like that's what I see.
kind of wait for him to fall asleep. He always has that, drugged up, glazed over look like he's on a bunch of medications, and I'm always just waiting for him to pass out mid-rant, and like the video is like 5 hours long. And
it's funny though, Josh, because you're probably one of the more calm, mellow people that I know, like in your demeanor, but you seem to just attract these nut jobs that love to target you.
I'm jealous. Yeah. I'm jealous.
Your page, and I'm like, what is he doing to piss these people off so bad? They think you're like the next coming of Satan or something.
Yeah, well, when you express ideas that aren't that people aren't comfortable with, and you do it in language that's not intended for NASCAR commercials, then like the sort of people who live in that world fucking tend to freak out and come at you. So
yeah. Well,
I'm extremely jealous though, because I poke at these guys all the time trying to get some sort of response, and I'm ignored. And you just do your own thing, don't even pay attention to them, and they're like, I must take Josh down.
Yeah, like if you have a cat that you ignore and it wants to come at you, anytime you ignore it, the trolls are sort of like that.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not doing good unless you're not reaching people unless you're reaching haters. So
Yeah.
you're doing something right out there. But what are our top stories of the night? We mentioned we touched on Ademo going to jail. It was pretty ridiculous. We are going to talk about that more later in the show.
How about that 12-year-old girl that got slammed by the cop?
Oh yeah,
we're talking about that tonight, right?
Yeah, we definitely are going to talk about that tonight. Well, do you know anything about the story? You want to do a quick brief?
I think actually we'll save that for later. But don't you have yourself a story about a little event that you had the last couple of days? I know you had some police come out about a deer and some things like that. Why don't you tell your story?
Yeah, I went out with Rick. We actually have Rick coming on in the next segment. We're going to talk all about our night out. But we had plenty of police contact out there. They showed their true colors. I mean, I was really shocked. For the first night since I've been cop blocking, I actually had a almost fear in the back of my head because it got that hostile. Like they were not even trying to hide, trying to blind us with spotlights and like being real cocky coming up to us, and it was just like I actually thought they were going to try to grab us and whoop our ass on the side of the road at one point.
They're kind of reckless out there in Allentown. I'm surprised you guys got out of there without some sort of altercation.
Well, when I had an incident, I was on my way to Rick's house actually to do this, to go out and film some police, and I come across a dying deer in the middle of the road, and it's right around a really, really dark road where there's no street lights. There was no way somebody else was not going to hit this deer and possibly kill themselves or cause an accident. There's woods on both sides of the road. So I, of course, being the lovely citizen I am, decide to take it upon myself to pull over and turn my hazards on to make sure that no car was going to come tearing through and hit the deer again. And for the first time in a very long time, I called the police.
Oh.
What else can you do? I mean, they're the ones that are trained to kill everything, so this thing needed to be put down, and it was really, when the police showed up, they pulled behind my car and they wouldn't get out. I could see them on the radio. They saw who car it was, and I think their first thought was, is this some kind of setup?
Yeah. Is that deer real? Now,
yeah,
when you pull
nowhere, and I call them out there, so they probably were a little freaked out. But then the deer tried to get up, and you could see it flailing around. So then the officer came out, and I'll talk about plenty more of that when we have our next guest on, Rick from Allentown Cop Block. We're going to be cutting to a commercial break right now. But we got plenty of exciting stories. Got a special guest, Josh Hodgkins.
As always, howdy. I am Matt Taylor of Carbon County Cop Block.
And I'm Severin Freeman of Lehigh Valley Cop Block. We'll be right back.
Are there any stats on how many people are listening that you can never see?
Yeah, the way you see that actually is after the show airs. If you're not going on the YouTube, but you're going by LRN. After the show airs, all you have to do is get a hold of Ian and ask him what the sponsors kicked back, and he'll let you know about how many viewers we had. Because I know he told us for like 109 and 110, it was the highest views that we had in 6 months. It was we were averaging around the 7,000 a commercial break. So that was actually a really good 2 shows we put off there.
Wow, nice.
Well, we're not getting many YouTube views because I don't think that updated.
That's all right. LRN. That's where we get the most of our views, anyways. Are you pulling Rick in, or do you want me to send it to him?
You send it to him?
Yeah, sure. Once I find his name. I wonder if
Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media, and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM.
Turn it
Download
down
it
so we
now,
can
free at
sound check in.
apps.lrn.fm.
All right, Rick, give us a 1, 2, 3.
Mic check 1, 2.
Yeah, he's a little loud compared to the rest of us.
He's the same level as all the rest of us.
Really? He sounds loud as hell in my ears.
Go ahead, try it again.
Mic check 1, 2. Mic check 1, 2.
Are you using the silver mic, or are you using your headset mic?
My headset.
Switch to the silver mic.
He doesn't sound too bad to me either, really.
He sounds fine. Just it's one segment. Just leave it like.
All right.
Alright.
He sounds perfectly clear on my end. I can hear him talking back.
All
I
right.
try to move it away. Because Logitech gets kind of loud. I'm Rick, by the way. How you doing?
Good. How you doing? I'm Joshua.
Yeah, how you going, Josh?
All right, I'm gonna play commercials. I'll be right back.
The
All right.
project
Try
has
not to
reached
talk
its
over
goal
them.
of 20,000 Liberty lovers who pledge to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime.
Are the commercials playing?
No.
I heard him a second ago.
FreeKeen.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeen.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeen.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeen.com.
Listen to LRN.FM on any phone, anytime. 213-493-0309. That's 213-493-0309.
Welcome back. We have a special guest tonight, Rick from Allentown Cop Block. Came on to talk about our evening out. I am Severin Freeman from Lehigh Valley Cop Block.
I am Matthew Taylor of Carbon County Cop Block.
I'm Joshua Hodgkin of Iowa City Cop Block.
And Rick Gonzalez from Allentown Cop Block.
We got a full panel tonight.
Rick, before you came on, we were getting in a little bit about our fun night, man. We had, Rick and I went out, did a little cop block, and night started off, I was telling you guys a little bit about the deer. I pulled over, I had called the cops in, they showed up, and they, at first, didn't want to get out of the car, but after they saw that it wasn't a prank call, they got out of the car, and I saw them radioing quietly, like, they knew what was up. I was there. they didn't want to do anything in front of me, and I could tell they were hesitating. And what they had to do was what they had to do. If I had a gun, I would have did it myself. This poor deer its insides were leaking out. Like, it was terrible.
Now, here's a question for you. When you actually hit that moment where you're like, I gotta call the cops, did you have this, like, gut-wrenching, sick feeling like, shit, I actually have to dial for the police right now?
No, actually, it was actually like a happy feeling. Like, what the hell? I finally get to use the service I'm paying for. I'm paying for this service. This is one of their job descriptions. You don't really call animal control out our way. You call the police. They have to come out and handle it.
Yeah, that's true.
Not a dog or a cat where they're going to kill somebody's house animal. It's a deer that really needed to be put out of its misery. It was crying. You can hear its noises crying. It kept trying to get up and walk, but its whole back end was falling apart. It needed to be put down, and I knew that that's what they were trained for. So when I made the call, I knew what they were going to come out and do, and I fully intended to have that done. That was the intention of the call. The animal needed to be put down.
So, Rick, why don't you tell us about what happened after this deer event when you guys were both together? Why don't you tell us about 7-Eleven and what happened there?
Oh,
well, we're not. Hold on 1 second. We're not quite there yet.
No.
The deer. What's up?
What? What's going on? Why are we silent?
I don't know what happened. Can you hear us?
Oh, really?
Why? What? I don't know if we're actually on air.
Yeah, I don't know why that's happening, Ian.
Sorry, everybody. We're having some technical difficulties.
Is that working now?
I can hear you.
Yeah,
I
we
can hear
all
everybody.
hear you.
So
Okay.
anyhow, the deer.
I'm sorry. Ian just came in over my headset. For the LRN listeners, there was dead air for everyone else except me. I didn't have you guys going out to the main mix. Ian, so everything's good now? Everything's yeah. You can hear them fine now, right?
Hello, this is Matt from Carbon County Cop Block.
Rick Gonzalez from Allentown Cop Block.
All right, I'm sorry.
From Iowa City Cop Block.
I had to do some rewiring, and I guess I didn't enable that back into the main mix. I'm sorry about that.
It's all good. Well, hello, listeners who didn't hear us for the first 23 minutes of this show.
Hey, sorry about the technical difficulties, guys. That's why we worked together. Ian had to come on. We had a little sound issue. But we have our co-hosts here. And for the first time tonight, they're going to introduce themselves to all of you. This is Reverend Freeman from Lehigh Valley Cop Block.
This is Matt Taylor of Carbon County Cop Block.
It's Josh Hodgkin of Iowa City Cop Block.
Rick Gonzalez from Allentown Cop Blocks. How's everybody doing, guys?
We're doing great.
Excellent.
Sorry to anybody who wasn't on the YouTube feed, didn't hear them on the air. We were talking a little bit about our weekend out cop blocking. I was forced to use the services that we paid for. The cops came out. They didn't want to do what they had to do because I was there. And I did the mature thing. I could have legally stayed and filmed and waited for them to do what they had to do and gotten on film. But you know what? I did the mature thing. I said, you know what, guys? I don't even want to witness what you have to do. Go take care of it. I drove off, went over to Rick's house, and we started our night of cop blocking, and they had to take care of that. There was no witnesses to what they had to do, just like the way they like it. So I went over and picked up Rick, and the coolest thing about the weekend was your buddy Rick. We took out a guy for the very first time cop blocking.
Oh yeah, it's my girl's son. He was interested in going out one night and see how I do it.
Well, that's always fun. That's good to me because it not only grows the amount of people that are doing this, but it shows them that it really doesn't. Like I think that his name's Junior. Junior said that after the very first stop, it was way different than what he thought. It was not scary. He was not intimidated. He didn't want to do this on his own. He wanted to come out with a group at first, which is probably something smart to get the feel for it. But he came out, and after the first stop, he was jumping out of the car right with you when we were approaching stuff. He was ready. He was pumped. That was awesome.
Yeah, he's been watching a lot of our videos lately. Yours, mine's, Ultra Accountability, Matt's videos. It's like everybody's video he's been like following because he's been getting it off my Facebook feed because I'm always like posting those videos. So
So he wants to come out more. He wants to be a part of Allentown Cop Block.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome. That's great. I love to see the group growing. I love to see the amount of active people out there growing. And for his first night out, there was
He
plenty.
did pretty good.
He did a really good job. He didn't get. He stayed back. He did what the third role was really. Me and you were on each side of the whatever stop we were on, and he kind of stayed back across the street and filmed us.
Yeah.
We stayed safe.
Especially when you're out with a team and you're cop blocking, it's really good to have somebody who's outside of the situation to make sure they get everything in case things go sideways.
He wasn't wearing a cop block shirt or anything. He looked like a bystander. So as far as anybody else was concerned, if something went down where a cop would grab one of us, he was just a bystander. They wouldn't even know he was with us.
Yeah.
But my concern is the citizens of Allentown. Some of them are getting stopped for no reason at all. Like that wasn't the first incident, but the first incident was we were passing by and there was like 3 of them parked outside with their lights off, and it was some kind of a girl got kicked out of the house or something like that.
Wasn't that real late at night when that happened? They removed her?
Yeah, well, we don't start cop blocking until about midnight. So by this point, after the whole deer incident and everything, we're talking 12:30 at night. We're 12:30, and they got this girl outside. First of all, it wasn't 3. 3 were like the amount of cars that were there. There was like 10 cops outside this house, no joke. And the paddy wagon was there. Like they were there to take somebody away, but I guess they realized like it wasn't.
When we showed up, it wasn't happening. When we showed up,
yeah, we showed up and we were on every angle watching. And the cops didn't even offer this lady a ride somewhere. She's sitting there pleading with them, saying, "I paid rent here. You can't make me leave in the middle of the night." Well, we got it all on film. They made her walk from that house. We got time for another segment. We're cutting to a commercial break, but we love to talk more about our cop blocking night. We'll be right back with another segment with Rick from Allentown Cop Block.
Doe.
Yo, so I don't know if last week, you're not going to believe this, guys. Last week's show, that button was off the entire time. So last week's show, my audio that I put up on SoundCloud is our version. So I'm wondering if last week LRN listeners heard nothing but me having a one-sided conversation with myself.
It'd be funny if that happened to see, like, have somebody edit it into, their own other side of the story.
Yeah, like that. I kind of want to get LRN's audio from last week and see if that was happening.
If that's the case, dude, there's so much dead air. There's so much dead air because Ademo did one story that was like 2 segments long that he talked 90% of.
Then it couldn't have been that way. We would have been cut off.
Yeah, there's no way that happened.
They have an automatic thing that if it's dead air for 30 seconds, we automatically go off the air.
There could be the fact that, maybe Little Sev or something, someone played on it and touched it.
Well, that is exactly what happened. While I was in New Hampshire, my son got to my soundboard and unplugged everything, plus with all the dials, and turned everything. So I had to set it all back up, and I forgot to hit the button where you guys come in. I had you guys going back so that we could hear you, but I didn't have you going to LRN.
Oh, that's Bush League, bro. It happens. We all make mistakes. That sucks though. It's okay.
Oh well. All right, I'm gonna play a commercial. Up at the half, I have a special commercial to play. We're going to play our first original commercial, not an LRN commercial.
You son of a bitch, why didn't you let me in on that? I do all these voices. I can do movie phone guy. Why didn't you bring me in on this?
This week, I'm gonna start doing it. Because for our YouTube and SoundCloud audience, they don't hear their commercials unless I turn them on.
'Cause you know I could easily do Gilbert for an entire episode again if you want.
We'll definitely talk about that.
Used and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.lrn.fm. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit the Liberty Radio Network when you shop at Amazon via shop.lrn.fm.
Excuse me, is this where I get a license to start a new business?
I wouldn't be hasty. You have to get a license to go out of business, too, you know.
Oh, well, look, I've invented this little anti-gravity machine, see?
Oh, is that why you're walking 2 inches above the floor?
Oh, yes, it's very comfortable. It saves on shoe leather.
Yeah, well, you have to fill out these forms and report to the Human Services Department of Manpower Orientation and register with the Fair Employment Practice Commission, the Wage and Hour Division of the Employment Standards Administration, the State Sales and Income Tax Division, the Internal Revenue Service, and the Social Security Administration of the Department of Health, Education, and Welfare, and, of course, OSHA.
OSHA? I thought that was a little town in Wisconsin.
You'll find out. Say, floating around like that could be dangerous. Have you checked with the Consumer Product Safety Commission?
Well, not yet.
Come to think of it, you actually are flying, aren't you? Look, you need to go over to the Federal Aviation Administration and Transportation...
It's very hard to get anything done these days if you're in business, but free enterprise built this country. Think what could happen if we don't keep it free. A public service of this station and the Center for the Defense of Free Enterprise, Bellevue, Washington.
We just can't have people floating about unregulated, you know.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
We are back with Rick Gonzalez from Allentown Cop Block as our guest. This is Severin Freeman from Lehigh Valley Cop Block.
This is Matt of Carbon County Cop Block.
It's Joshua of Iowa City Cop Block.
And before we cut to a break, we were just talking about our night out cop blocking with Rick and I, breaking in a brand new cop blocker. That first stop, we were left off with, they made the woman walk. So help me remember, Rick. After the woman walked, we jumped back in the car, and wasn't much we can do. By the time we took off, that lady was out of sight. But we ended up. What happened next in the night, Rick?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, we went down and we made a circle. We whipped around, came up Linden, and that's when we spotted the. Actually, we were coming down 7th Street, and that's when we saw the all of them at 7-Eleven. Then we pulled in.
Yeah, so we pulled in at 7-Eleven. Well, about 8 to 10 cop cars are sitting there in this little 7-Eleven parking lot.
Yeah, from the looks of it, looked like they were just starting their graveyard shift, and you know, it was pretty late, about 12 at that time. So
after we approached, we decided we were gonna just get out, and we were just playing around. We were just having a good time. It was a good night. We were all feeling good, and we got out. We were taking selfies with the cop cars behind us, and I started shooting an Instagram video, just saying, "Hey, what's up? Look at all our friends." We were just having a good time. There was no harm in any of it. The cops even seemed like they didn't care. Then this one cop comes over to me, and Rick and his buddy Junior did a great job on keeping the camera right on me because I was thrown off. I was doing a selfie camera, so like I kind of had the camera down when I was talking to this cop. He comes and stands over my shoulder. I thought he was about to grab me and cuff me. So did Rick at first.
Nah, they knew better.
I don't know.
They always see me out there recording, and they know once they get caught doing something really violent, it's going up, and the whole world's gonna see it. That's the last thing they need. So I'm pretty sure they're gonna be on their best behavior. Hopefully they don't violate people's rights. Since I've been hearing about lately from the community that they're stopping people, they're hiding on private property in the dark without their lights on, and it's I need to be out there more and cover some. It's Allentown's a big area to cover. You know, just me by itself.
Yeah.
But
Now,
go ahead.
now when this Instagram video was happening, Seb, I love you to death, and you did it for the comedy, and I'm totally like I understand that. But for everybody else, never identify yourself or let them see who the hell you are when you're on when you're doing any of this. I know why you did it because it was funny.
Comedy, like Lehigh Valley Cop Block founder, get it right, guys. Like it was, they were like reading it off my press pass. I was like, yep, that would be Severin Freeman, Lehigh Valley Cop Block founder. Make sure you got that right because they all know my name anyway.
Yeah.
So like I don't know why they took those pictures. I'm pretty sure it was simply to intimidate us, to try to scare us into thinking they're after us. But I was not swayed at all. If anything, his closeness to me is what threw me off because he was literally standing over my shoulder.
Isn't it against police policy to use their personal cell phones?
Yeah, and he turns around and snaps pictures of all of you.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure it's against police policy that when you tell a sergeant you would like to file a formal complaint, he doesn't laugh and tell you you're fine and drive off. But that's what occurred. After this guy was taking selfies with us and talking to us and acting all like he was some kind of respectable cop, he decides to turn a spotlight right into Rick's eyes.
Yep.
And Rick perfectly handles it, calmly calls him an asshole. I loved it. He's like an asshole on camera, just all calm and relaxed about it. And then this guy, they started laughing like they thought it was really funny. Then they start driving away. We go and approach the sergeant who sat there and watched his officers doing that. And we wonder why these cops act this way. The sergeant himself said, "Oh, just blink your eyes a few times. You'll be fine." And I yelled, "No, we want to file a formal complaint." He's like, "Oh, okay, well, you'll be fine." And he starts driving off. Unbelievable. Like, that was probably the most aggressive, most ridiculous act caught on camera that I've seen, personally. They didn't even attempt to look like they cared at all. Not like they don't think they're going to get in trouble because they're not. Nothing happens to these guys. They literally can do whatever they want.
That's why they're a bunch of fucking cowards, because when I'm not around, I hear the stuff in the streets. But when I come around, they don't want to pull any of that shit around me when I'm walking around down there, because I'm always with my camera. And I'm ready to get up and close when they are encountering people in the streets here in Allentown.
Yeah.
I try to keep people safe.
Well, the next stop that we did after that was probably, I'm going to put it up as maybe one of our better videos that we have yet. It's 10 minutes of us educating this guy who didn't know about Cop Block, never heard of any of it. He loves what we're doing. We came across a traffic stop. We weren't even headed this way. We just saw the lights, so we flew over there. And it was a guy getting pulled over. He had his wife and kid in the car, and his license was suspended, and he was driving. Now, what's gonna happen 9 times out of 10 here, Matt?
Well, I know how this goes because this accidentally happened to me. Well, how this ended for me is I don't have driving privileges for the next 2.5 years.
Yeah, a ticket issued. Like, you're going to get a ticket. You're definitely catching that ticket. They might let your wife drive away if she has a license, but you're catching that ticket.
Yeah, well, and it's about $1,000.
Shocking. He didn't catch a ticket. They let him switch cars. The cops wanted out of there as fast as they could because we were there. They took off as fast as they could, but not before shining the light in our faces again, just to be cocky. But after,
if I gotta go anywhere, I'm either grabbing you or Rick, and I'm sticking you guys in my trunk. So if they pull me over, you guys can just pop out and be like, "Nope, we got you guys. Go away. You can drive. You can just go."
I said that about JP Freeman in New Hampshire. If you don't want to catch a ticket, just carry JP Freeman with you.
I wonder how much it costs to rent a JP Freeman.
In New Hampshire, I don't know. I think you might need a case of Mountain Dew. That's his catnip.
I'm good, man. I got one right here. I got the nip.
You don't drink or do drugs or do none of that, but hold down a case of Mountain Dew like no tomorrow. But anyway, so we go we're educating this guy. We tell him about Cell 411. I helped him downloaded it, showed him how to sign up and stream to our groups. We educated him on the website. We showed him copblock.org. We had a nice, almost 10-minute long conversation with the guy on the side of the road. He was an awesome guy. Afterwards, both Rick and I, he subscribed to our pages. He was really open to everything Copblock was about. He'd never heard of nothing like it. So it was awesome. It was great.
Yeah, we had a lot of support from the community.
And that wasn't the very last instance of our night. We drove through Bethlehem and also confronted a cop that had his lights off, sitting tucked away with his lights off. And he claimed he wasn't patrolling. He was sitting there with his lights off for like 20 minutes. We drove past him twice. But he's like, I'm not patrolling. I'm doing paperwork. That's always their excuse. But
in the dark.
Yeah, so we had a really productive night. But the two things that really stood out for me about the night was getting your buddy acquainted with cop blocking and being able to educate the public the way that we did.
Yeah, he sure did learn a lot that day, and he wants to do it again this weekend.
That's awesome.
Thank you so much for joining us and filling us in on everything. We'll have you back on. You can find Rick at Cop Blast Podcast on Monday nights at what is that?
9:30.
9:30 on the channel is called Cop Blast Podcast. You can also find him on Allentown Cop Block. We will be
Facebook and YouTube.
Thank you, Rick.
All right, no problem, man.
Good to meet you, Rick.
Jittery. It's good to meet you too, Josh. Take it easy. Good night.
I'll see you after the show, Rick.
All right, no problem. Peace.
Hey, just to let you know, they did not put the link up on Cop Block.
No, they didn't put the link up, but we are live. We have viewers. So
yeah.
Anybody, you know what? We should actually address that on air.
Yeah. Because
anybody that can hear my voice right now is already watching us.
Yeah, because what do you call it? Scott was attempting to find the show, and he had to hunt. That was his words. He had to hunt it down.
Yeah, I've had that before.
He apologized. He said that he did send a message. He apologized and said that he is in the car and was unable to add that link.
Gotcha.
Oh wow! Before Ian broke up into our show, he texted me and called me 3 times, and my phone was across the room.
Oh, hey, question for you, Severin. Do you have Facebook open right now?
Yeah. Why?
Because every time you get a message or a notification, it dings in our ears, which means it's dinging over LRN.
Yeah, I can fix that. I gotta turn off system sounds.
I just usually mute the tab.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Are you guys still there?
Yeah.
Still here.
Are you there?
I'm here.
Yes, we're here.
If I mute the tab, it's Google Chrome, so you guys are part of that tab.
Ah.
Oh, no, just your Facebook tab.
I don't know how to do that.
Right click on the tab.
I'm gonna close.
Yeah, right click.
I'm gonna close it. All right, I'm gonna play some commercials.
I am really looking forward to this special commercial you made.
It's nothing crazy.
I hope it's something that I can laugh at or laugh to.
It's nothing you're gonna laugh at. It's just that it's something for an app that we all use. It's a new commercial.
Okay.
What app is it?
Top Lives post pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see it,
I'll use it.
like facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. facebook.freetalklive.com.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country that we can have a free market, a truly free market, making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest small interest libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger. That's amazing. To be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
Welcome back. Last segment of the half.
Woo! Do I hear a cat in the background?
I'm
Yeah.
sure that's good at math that can break that down for me in a fraction. Not quite half, it's just above half.
My cat is tired of my computer use for the day, and he's trying to tell me, come do something else, man.
Dad, come love me.
Every time I'm playing a video game, my cat does that to me. Like, it drives me nuts. He wants my hands, and it's not like he wants to sit on my lap or anything. He wants my hands because they're busy touching something that's not him. So he like wants that attention back.
Yeah, I'm sure it can get awkward at times. Imagine now if your cat is about 65 pounds and a dog. That's what I gotta deal with.
I told you before, you're nuts for getting that dog. That thing is huge.
I love this dog.
Yeah, I still think you're nuts. You're like what's that? Oh, Full House. The show Full House. They got the whole family and the dog and the baby.
Yeah, and you know what? Now we're about ready to go move into the nice big house, and it really is. You know, though, actually, funny story. We actually had a situation here. Well, the situation itself wasn't funny. There was the possibility that my fiance, had lost the baby. It was a scary moment, and I had to call 911 myself this last week, which, of course, is going to bring cops and paramedics. And the first thing, and it sucked that I had to go here in such a scary moment, but you're sitting there and I'm worried about my fiance, but then I have to sit there and think, I have a 65-pound pit bull that likes to run up to people and play. So I have to, while I'm worried as all hell about my fiance, I have to get my dog and lock it in a room, because God knows that if I left him out, I would have had to deal with the fact of maybe losing my child, and the fact that the cops shot my dog in front of a 7-year-old child who's in my apartment as well. So, it was an interesting.
Call the cops this week too.
Yeah, I had to call 911 to get my fiance to the hospital because we had that scary moment. So.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. I should have realized that the cops would show up too. So what did you do? Did you film them? Did you?
No, I was a little preoccupied at that moment. I was trying to get her into the ambulance and everything and make sure everything's okay, because
Who showed first, the cop or the ambulance?
Actually, the ambulance showed up, got her, and left, and then the cops showed up.
Oh, okay. So by then, you were already on your way to the hospital.
Well, I had to stay because her brother was here and they wouldn't let 2 people in the ambulance, and it was kind of funny because when the cops showed up, they're like, did the ambulance come? Is everything all right? And I kind of looked at him knowing what officer it was, and I was like, Diffuso, you can go away. You guys are really late. Now, here's the kicker, right?
You guys are really late. Yeah, what if you really had an emergency and needed that cop?
Well, here's the kicker, okay? The ambulance company where I called from the ambulance from is probably about 4.5 miles away from my house. The police precinct is literally 1 block that way.
They were eating donuts, man.
Yeah, no, not even 3 minutes, dude. 1 block that way. If I look out a window that is right here and look up, I can basically see the top of the police station. Like, I could see it from my house. I could walk there faster than they got here. So yeah, it was pretty ridiculous. It was just like, you're late. Go away.
Well, I think I speak for a lot of people when I say thank goodness that everything is okay.
Yes, little Nate made it.
The little one is doing just fine, correct? Jumping all around.
Absolutely. Well, not jumping all around, kind of surfing in the belly.
Yeah, having fun. But I know if I was in a situation where I needed to call 911 because of a medical thing, I'd be upset that the cops were showing up. Like, no, I don't need an armed thug right now. There's nothing to kill here. There's nothing that we need beaten up or arrested. So please just go away. Like,
somebody's already injured. You're not required.
Yeah, exactly. What do you think, Josh? Could you have you been there since waking up where you needed to call on these services?
No, I've managed to avoid them. The last time I really called the cops on somebody was a number of years ago, and it was because there were like 10 guys beating up one guy, and me and my friend had baseball bats, and when you started to go towards them, we were like, yeah, we're going to get our ass beat.
Right, like I said.
This other guy was going to die, so.
We needed somebody to get beaten up. These are one of the reasons that we call the police. Somebody needs their ass beat. Somebody needs to be thrown into a cage, or something or someone needs to be shot. That's what the cops are good for. If there's a one-sided fight happening outside, like you said, Josh, you kind of needed to even those numbers out a little bit.
Yeah, and the thing where cops come with every single call, I kind of discussed that recently. The claim is, well, something could go wrong where the cops were needed, but that happens to be the case with a number of any professions. Probably in more calls than any, what we need are mental health professionals going out to calls. But we don't send them or anybody else that would be useful. So why do we assume that anything that goes wrong is going to require somebody with a gun, instead of somebody with knowledge?
Yeah, I'd much rather. I mean, first of all, a cop doesn't have anything but basic CPR training, as far as I know. Their services aren't needed on emergency calls. I don't understand personally why they do need to come. I understand their reasoning that they say, because say you're calling and somebody's overdosed or something like that, and they're belligerent, or somebody's too intoxicated to really, and they're violent or something. But even in those cases, I'd much rather have trained professionals trained to strap someone to a gurney than a guy with lethal weapons on each one of his hip, itching to grab one of them.
Well, you got to look at it this way too. I mean, they're kind of the ambulance chasers of the government, because they're out there trying to get revenue. So the second they see a call come in, they're like, who can we ticket? Who can we make some money off of?
Oh, great! With this call comes probable cause to enter the house because there's an emergency.
Yep.
What can we find? What can we find on these people?
Yep, that's exactly what it is.
And even people who, I haven't done anything. I have nothing to be afraid of. Like, oftentimes things show up when police show up, whether they're planted there or whether you've entertained guests before that have dropped something one place or another, like, you're not safe even if you think that you've not done anything, because they'll probably find something.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually had a situation where I did let them in my house years and years ago before I had joined any kind of movement. I was really dumb back in the day. I was one of the ones that would talk to police and try to talk my way out of things and all that. Stupid. Anyway, I let them in my house, and I had totally forgotten that there was an antique bowl on my countertop. That it was a weed bowl that came apart. It was from Afghanistan. It was all wooden, handmade. A friend of mine brought it back from when he went over there and fought. I had smoked out of it one time, dude. One time. This was an antique, beautiful piece. And they took it, and they arrested me for it.
Yeah.
So just realize, they will get you if you let them in your house. Don't let them in. Don't ever let them without a warrant.
Yeah.
It will not help you. You're not helping yourself. If anything, starting off the encounter in the defensive, putting them in a position where they know that they're going to have to work for every inch is where you want to be. You don't want to be friendly in that encounter.
Nope.
I actually, strangely enough, I just recently, when I was in New Hampshire, I had a really long night and we got pulled over. And there was a funny video that I didn't really want to go out, but it did, of me answering this cop's questions. I'm like, yo, come on, man. It's a long night. I'm sick of this. Like, I wasn't even filming. I just wanted out of that encounter right away because I was ready to be done with the night. But
that was the second time you had been pulled over that night, though.
Yeah, I was just done with the night. I was stressed out. We've all been there where it's just like, you know what, fuck this, fuck everything. I'm done right now. And even then, trying to be friendly and talking to this cop, when I went back and watched it, I was like, why did I say that? Why did I do that? Like, they know how to get the things out of you that they want you to say.
Yep.
Like, why did I tell him I just got pulled over the last day I'm back? Because you're stressed out and you're not realizing it and you're talking, and that's the number one thing you don't want to do is talk. Well,
honestly, go ahead.
Before we go to the commercial break, I did want to talk about Ademo quick.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
We talked about him all. He was on all week last week. It's been building up of what happened in Parma, so I don't want to talk about it for too long. But I guess we will be talking about it in the next segment because we're cut into a commercial break. It's our halfway point in the show. We'll be coming back with our story about Ademo and a story about a school officer slamming a 12-year-old girl caught on film.
What a douche.
You know about that story, right?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, we'll be right back with that. Sorry, guys, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
That's okay. I actually thought of a time since then I've called the cops. That's kind of hilarious, and it was one time me and a friend took some shrooms and took my Volkswagen off into the woods and got stuck. And we were 20 miles from home, or 15 miles from home, and in the middle of nowhere. And I eventually I was like, fuck it, I'm calling the sheriff to get a ride. And then so the next day I get a call from the sheriff, and they're like, well, where did you say your car was stuck? Because we sent an officer back there, and we don't see any car. And I was like, you went on this road and everything, right? And they're like, yeah, there's nothing there. And so I was like, well, crap. So I call up kind of a redneck friend. He's got a big truck, and we go out looking, and we get to places where we just can't get down this old hunting road with the truck anymore. It's just too far gone. And so I go back and call the sheriffs. I'm like, yeah, I can't find it either. And they're like, well, do you want to report it stolen? I'm like, no, I'll just see what happens, see what turns up. And like a week later, they call me and they're like, well, we actually did find your car, but we have no earthly idea how you managed to get the car where it was. Like, so I went out with the tow truck, and the tow truck actually 2 times had to back up and use a winch and a tree to pull itself through areas that I got this little Volkswagen Rabbit through.
Wow. You were on shrooms, you said?
Yeah.
We were on an adventure. There are things that happen on shrooms that just cannot be explained by earthly means.
No.
Trust me, I spent 9 straight months on them when I lived in Amsterdam. I have some stories.
All right. Well, how about for the audience online, we're gonna play this Cell 411 commercial. Can you guys hear that?
Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up in any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT and the government license. Cell 411 because your friends will shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com. That's getcell411.com.
Yeah, that's all it was. Josh, this is our longer break. We're not back till 11:06, so if you got to take a leak or get a drink.
Yeah, I think I'll go. Part of the cat's protest is about the feeding, so I'm going to go take care of that.
We'll be back in 6 minutes.
Hey, Severin.
Yeah.
Just letting you know, special offer to you. if you're still interested in that car, I'll drop it down to $1,400.
I'll think about it. We're leaning on our options right now. Over the next month, we're going to be making a decision. So.
Gotcha. Well, I'm letting you know, like, if I can't get this to move in the next 6 days, I'm just doing it as like a wholesale.
All right.
So.
Well, if that's the case, then I definitely won't have $1,500 in the next 6 days.
That's fine, but if you want it, I've got no problem with like $500 down, and you can still take the car and then make payment on it.
All right, we can talk about it. I don't want to talk about it where somebody can watch our conversation later.
Y'all can watch our conversation.
None of your damn business where my money come from.
You can watch our conversation. You can't have my car.
Well, you know, Matt, if the welfare check comes in and the crack holds out, I mean.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yo, I'll take what's it? I'll take 2 ounces and a snuff film for it.
Yeah, will you take food stamps for the car?
Yeah, but it's only I can only do it at half price.
All right.
You guys are just living in your parents' basement, and you live on food stamps, and then
like, no, you douches. We get paid for this. Does that make you angry?
Yeah, right.
I love asking people that. Like, whoa, wow, you got $10,000 in student loan debt? Wow. I get paid for this. Does that make you angry? You work really, really hard for really, really long. I feel bad for you.
You know what? I actually had somebody who was like, "What do you do for a living?" I was like, "Well, you know what I'm doing right now? I'm actually designing a album cover for somebody's third album. Like, that's what I'm doing." Oh, and I bet you I'm making more off of it than you are in a month, but that's okay. Just wait till it hits stores.
Like, I want to thank all the cops out there for making my videos go viral, because those numbers make me shit tons of money. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you, all you asshole officers that make us great videos, because it keeps us doing this.
Yep.
All right, I'm gonna play some commercials.
We were having some good intermission talk.
I gotta go take a leak, though.
All right.
Ethan Couch, who turns 19 years old this week and was 16 at the time of the incident, will be in a Tarrant County adult court on Wednesday for a likely determination of how much time behind bars he must spend for violating the probation deal. The Fort Worth Star-Telegram, citing court documents, said taxpayers paid more than $150,000 of the bill for his year-long rehabilitation because his parents were supposedly unable to pay for all of the treatment. At Couch's trial in juvenile court in 2013, a psychologist testified for the defense that Couch was so spoiled by his wealthy parents he could not tell right from wrong. The psychologist described the affliction as affluenza, a term that quickly became a media buzzword. Couch was sentenced to 10 years probation, during which he was to refrain from alcohol and be drug-free. The sentence sparked outrage from critics who ridiculed the affluenza defense and said his family's wealth helped the teen stay out of jail. Couch and his mother, Tanya, fled Texas in December, apparently to avoid arrest for violating the drink and drug-free probation deal. Ethan Couch has been in custody since he was brought back from Mexico in January. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
The FAA has issued a reminder that any plane can crash and kill you. Deputy FAA Administrator Serena Grant.
This year, there will be more flights than ever. Any one of them could blow up in the middle of the sky without warning. That's why we're asking all Americans to tell their families that they love them before taking off.
The agency also released a list of important questions to ask yourself or your seatmate during your flight, including, should the wing be doing that? What is that whirring noise? And do all planes shake this much? They're reminding passengers that even the smallest amount of turbulence could mean you're headed toward a sudden explosive death. While hurtling through the sky at unimaginable speeds in a steel coffin can feel like gambling with your life, the FAA says there are ways to regain the illusion of control.
If you're worried about crashing, why not switch your flight at the last second? Might just save your life. Or kill you, depending on which plane crashes.
And for those who aren't flying this holiday, the FAA has reminded everyone that a plane could fall out of the sky right on top of you at any moment.
Yes, it's the Onion News Network.
We are back
on Cop Block Radio with your hosts, Matt Taylor of Carbon County Cop Block,
Severin Freeman from Lehigh Valley Cop Block,
and Joshua Hotchkin from Iowa City Cop Block.
Before we cut to the break, we were talking about Ademo a little bit. He was sent into a cage yesterday for his turn signal. So he was jailed over a turn signal, and he fully knew that they were going to jail him. He knew that the state would. He did this kind of as a point because he told the judge in the courtroom that he was not going to pay, and that he was not going to talk to the judge about finances. He was not going to do that. That they're going to just have to jail him if that's what they want to do for his turn signal, because that will. Going to jail from the courtroom is a safer alternative than going out and not paying the ticket and having the cops show up at your house or pull you over and have you have a warrant and choose to use violence against you to force you into a cell. So he would rather just leave the courtroom and go into the cell. And the judge said, fine, you're going into the cell.
I kind of would have loved to have been a fly on the wall to see the judge's face when he was like, you know what, you can take that $50 and shove it up your ass. I'll take the jail time.
Yeah, a lot of it was what he wanted to do was a lot of our audience doesn't really believe to what lengths the state will go to initiate force against you for the most meaningless, piddly of infractions. You know, they think that getting caged up over a turn signal is something that's not even possible, ridiculous when we talked about it, and he just wanted to show them how real that was.
Yeah, and anybody who says, "Oh, it was all peaceful, there is no violence," jailing somebody is the most aggressive thing you can do to them.
Yeah,
you're taking away their freedom, totally. They no longer can even piss without permission, unless you're in your cell. Like, you need permission to go back in your cell, at least in the jail that I was in. So, like, you're literally nothing. You have no freedom, no nothing. There's no greater form of aggression than jailing somebody aside from killing them. So they initiated this mass amount of force and spent taxpayer dollars to put him through the jail system, probably spent 10 times the amount that it cost for his $50 fine. And what is the result?
Well,
he's out the next morning, it's done and over with.
They just turned around and went, okay, well, if you're not going to pay it, we'll have the taxpayers pay more. But it's a disgusting cycle because, what ends up happening if you go the other route, you don't pay it and you leave, then you don't pay, they send somebody to come collect you to put you in that cage. And then if you say, I'm not going to go in that cage, they use violence. If you decide to stand up to that violence, they will kill you. I mean, and that's $50. And if he had gone that route and just said, I'm a free man, I don't deserve this, I'm not going to do this, he would have been shot for not going into the cage. I mean, and that's how far they'll go. And some people will sit there and say, oh, well, you're just thinking and playing on what ifs and this could happen, but it didn't. This happens. It's happened before, and it'll happen again, where people don't have the money to pay it. They do not want to go to jail over something so mundane and retarded, but they can't pay it. And so when they try to, either duck the system or run from the system eventually finds them and will put them down if need be. And it's disgusting.
This happens a lot to homeless people. My brother's homeless in Colorado Springs, and he's in jail right now because, they'll throw a fine on a fine and, fines for not showing up to court and stuff when you don't have any real expectations of being able to get there in the first place, So this sort of constant violence for nothing builds up, and these little tiny things can, ruin an entire life.
Yeah, if you have money, you have justice. The criminal justice system works just fine if you're loaded, and you can pay a high-priced lawyer to defend you, and you can go into the courtroom and play their little monkey dance. But if you have no money, you're screwed. Walking into that courtroom, you're screwed.
Unless somehow, some way, by the grace of God, you get lucky like I did and have a public defender that goes, and I quote, "You know what? We can beat this. Let's take him to town and beat this." I mean, that never happens, and I'm telling you, like, do not ever expect that to happen, because that, honestly, I found a unicorn that day. I really did. A unicorn walked up to me and said, "Guess what? I'm real, you son of a bitch," and got me off of a DUI that I thought that they were going to unjustly tack me to the wall for. So.
Well, Ademo is free now. He was let out at 10 o'clock this morning, something like that, and he's fine. Fine's over with. It's all done and over with. I'll take a day in jail for a fine too. It's just hilarious to me, though, that they would take it to that extent rather than realizing that what he did was nothing. He didn't do anything. He changed lanes without a turn signal. No victim whatsoever. There wasn't even somebody in that lane that called and complained. It was a cop sitting by that said, "Ooh, I saw something I don't like." So the end result was Ademo in a jail cell.
I saw something I don't like, so let me real quick pull out in front of people, put on flashing lights that are very distracting, break the speed limit to pull somebody over and say, "You did wrong." Yep.
No irony there.
Yeah, yep.
Well, I want to jump into a story out of Illinois right now.
Well, before you do that, if you guys out there listening think that this is as big a bullshit as we do, please turn around and go ahead and give the judge a call. I'm going to give you the magistrate's number here.
I actually just posted the magistrate's number on the radio show page.
Awesome. So for our viewers our listeners out there who aren't going to be able to get over there, please go ahead and write this down. The number is 440-887-7400. Give them a call and just tell them how much bullshit you think this is.
The judge name is Judge Fink. Judge Fink. Make sure you ask for Judge Fink.
First name Rat.
Yeah. This is the same judges, the same department, the same town that jailed Dio, that is currently jailing Dio, and the same town that is currently jailing another activist that, after Dio's incident, created a fake Parma Facebook page, Parma Police Department Facebook page, just to troll them, and was joking about them on the Facebook page, and he was arrested and taken in on some crazy felony charges, like some absurd felony charges, and that guy's in jail, in Parma jail right now too, I believe.
Yep. Parma better watch out, because they're going to start getting the attention of some real activists and people who will like to do things on the computer. You know, I'm not saying that this is going to happen. I'm not saying that I'm a part of that or that I condone it, just so in case one of those fuck faces are watching and decides to say he's the mastermind. I'm not. I'm just saying you might want to chill your shit, because eventually, you know, somebody along the lines of a Anonymous is going to catch wind of some of the bullshit you guys are doing out there. And have you seen what's happened to other police departments when that happens? You should probably cool your shit. Just saying.
Well, we're going to jump into this story out of Illinois. I find this one crazy and hilarious at the same time. Just more cops doing what they want. An Illinois police department removes body cams because they're burdensome. The story is written by Asa J. Illinois became one of the first states to establish comprehensive rules governing how people use body cameras when the Law Enforcement Body Camera Act was passed by state legislators. The Minneoka Police Department has stopped using them after a 6-month testing phase because their burdensome workload. The department was first... Well, we're cutting to a commercial break, but we'll be right back with more details from this story and plenty more on Cop Block Radio.
Ademo said that he was telling me a bit about his experience, and he gave everyone on his way in, what for, and pointed out, that they were actually putting a man in a cage for a turn signal. So, you know, like there's ways that he was also doing activism even all throughout. You know, he was, you know, talking to those people and trying to get them to see the consequences of their actions and whatnot. And I guess he was in a cell as well with a guy, and he couldn't believe it because the guy was you know, such a sycophant, such a, you know, status. He wanted to be a cop and everything, and he was locked in a cage, you know.
I want to be a cop, he says, sitting inside of a jail cell. It's like, do you not see how dumb of a you really look right now? You're sitting there in your orange jumpsuit, like, yeah, when I get out of here, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna enroll in the program. So, no, you're not. No, the hell you're not.
Yeah, I mean, you got it all backwards. You're supposed to wait till you get the badge to commit the crime so you don't end up in jail.
Yeah, you know, so the FOP can bail you out like they do everybody else.
Mm-hmm. Send you on a vacay.
Matt, do you want to read?
Yeah, I'll finish this story up.
Well, no. Do you want to read the story? The officer punches man strapped to the stretcher.
Sure.
You can do that one. I'll finish up this one quick when we come back, and you can just jump right into that one.
Okay.
In your head. If you listen to Free Talk Live regularly, you know me. Free Talk Live is on more than 160 radio stations around the U.S. and has been downloaded on every continent around the world. Hundreds of thousands of listeners with ad packages from $600 a month to $6,000 a month. Imagine what we can do for your business, project, website, or idea. Email me, Mark at freetalklive.com. The three most important things you can do for LRN.FM are: 1. Let your friends know you're listening to LRN.FM on your social networking profile. 2. Buy the things you buy online through shop.lrn.fm. 3. Give $5 a month to the AMP program at amp.lrn.fm. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same great prices, and LRN gets a cut. Please do your online shopping at shop.lrn.fm.
Hi, I'm Derek J. To me, calling is to actively work to advance a cause. The cause for which I work is personal freedom. I believe my life is best when I engage in voluntary interactions and self-government. I reject the idea that anyone else has a higher claim to my life or my body than I do. I see people who call themselves the government as a threat to my personal freedom. I realize you may feel differently, but my relationship with the people who call themselves the government is completely involuntary. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com.
You can connect with the Liberty Radio Network via our Facebook page at facebook.lrn.fm. That's facebook.lrn.fm.
We are back. Before we cut to the break, we were talking about the story out of Illinois. The police department decided that a body camera program was too burdensome for them, and they gave it up.
You know, what's crazy about that is, you know, yeah, Illinois didn't put any mandate down on if they were required to wear it, but the fact is that they have they weren't actually required to go through the footage. They had a third-party company that was going to go through the footage for them, so it really wasn't all that much of a burden to just let it record and then have them sift through it if need be. You know, and the fact that they only had the 10 body cameras, there was really only 9 hours of footage when all was said and done that they had to go through.
Yeah, and the department didn't pay for these cameras.
Right.
given as part of the program to try to get officers put in a company called Battery Jack donated these cameras to this department to be able to get this footage to be able to know what their officers are doing. After an officer's shift starts, the devices were plugged into USB ports at the department in order to be upload and collect what footage was there and stored in the event that it was requested by a citizen. On Friday, the police chief, Justin Mayer, said that the functionality of the camera was fine, but it became a burden for the department to fill the requests for the footage. They didn't feel like giving up the footage to show the public what the department was up to.
Surprise, surprise.
If 4 officers are at a scene for an hour, whether there's an arrest or not, that's 4 hours of video that was uploaded. I was happy with the body cameras, but it became burdensome for administrative staff. Well, boo-hoo. So,
you know what? Here's what I really can't wait for, and I really, really want it to go this way. I like the fact that we have body cameras, but I don't think it's going far enough. And here's the reason why. Because you have the ability to just go off, and it's done. I really want these guys wearing something that's live streaming their ass. So you can tune right in. They don't have the ability to delete that because it's on a cloud service somewhere that they don't have the ability to get to. That's when we reach true accountability on them.
it'll never happen.
Hell no. Hell no.
I mean, even the body camera program, it was a good idea. It was good in thought when it was first being implemented, but we see all across the country they're not releasing this footage.
It wasn't
not giving it. They're not using it for anything but to clear their officers. They're not releasing anything for years after incidences. It's just despicable.
Can I tell you what it was?
Public being.
Can I tell you what it was? It wasn't a program meant to actually do anything positive. They saw a bunch of people who were out there and really wanted to have some sort of accountability, so they saw the dam was leaking, and they went, we could take this body camera program and just go, put the finger in the hole and stop the complaining for a little bit. That's all it was. It was just to plug the hole a little bit of the problem that's really occurring. And they thought that was going to last long enough that maybe this whole police accountability, police activism movement might blow over. And, of course, it's not going to blow the hell over, you know.
It's bigger than ever.
Absolutely. So now that they're seeing that, you can tell that they're scrambling, not only government, but at the police, level, trying to figure out how they're going to circumvent the fact that people want to see and hold them accountable for the actions of which they're doing. And every single day it's tripping them up even more to where now crimes that, 10 years ago that officers weren't even going to get charged for, we're not only seeing them charged, but actually, doing some sort of jail time for it. Even if that jail time is a fraction of what you would do as a citizen, you're still seeing some very small, minute accountability that's happening. It's because they're scrambling to try to figure out how to shut us up for wanting to see them held accountable for the actions of which they do.
I totally agree, but at the same time, I don't see that they haven't. There's been maybe a handful of cases where body cam footage is helping prosecute officers. Otherwise, they're not releasing it, or they're refusing to cooperate, or they're getting rid of the body cameras, as Illinois is doing. Like, they're doing whatever they want still. They thought these cameras would help them, and once they're realizing that they might get tripped up because of them, now they're finding excuses not to have them.
Well, I'm gonna tell you something. I read this article the other day, and it was actually on. It actually directly called out 411 and Periscope and Facebook live stream, and what it did is it sat there and it tried to demonize it by saying, "Oh, well, if somebody's live streaming this event and the person who is barricaded inside a house." And they watch this live stream event, they can see the tactics of which the officers are using at the time live and know if, they're coming in the back door or the front door, and they think that it's a dangerous event to have these type of apps out on the streets to be able to film cops. So now that the fact that they're realizing that there's, all these people out there who, 10 years ago they could do something stupid on the street and people are just going to stand there and watch. Now every time they do something, there's 30 people like this recording them. they're trying to figure out a way to stop it to where if they see this, they can go after those people. And what they're doing is they're attacking the live stream because they can't attack the video itself. That right there is an attack on the First Amendment. But what they want to do is they want to attack the live stream because then that gives them the ability, if they can stop a live stream, then they can stop the footage itself, because if it's not on a live stream and it's sitting on somebody's phone, it's real easy to break a phone in half or make a video get deleted. But if it's been live streamed, they can't touch it. So that's why they're going after live streaming now.
Well, not going to be able to. That's right.
There's lots of cases where there's plenty of evidence that officers have done something wrong that get all the way to the courts and they're still not prosecuted. So,
oh yeah,
I think that the cops filming their own stuff is really not going to make as much difference as people filming the cops and making sure the footage gets out there, because as you know, I don't believe that accountability is even a possibility, but I do believe if we wake enough people up that we can start to look at new ways of addressing issues besides men with guns, and getting that footage out there helps to do that, accomplish that goal. So,
absolutely.
For every body cam that gets taken off an officer, we need another person out there picking up a camera.
Absolutely. Speaking of people with cameras, this back on April 2nd, there was a YouTube video that went up by a man named Mike Bluehair of Film the Police out of Portland. I don't know if you guys saw this, but it was an incident that took place then, and it was involving an assault on an unidentified man who was already strapped down to a stretcher and immobilized by paramedics. This Portland police officer, who was identified later as Officer Honnell, decided that when this man was already immobilized, he was going to start punching him on a stretcher, already strapped down and immobilized. Like, that is prime example why we need people out there recording. Because when we have officers out there who are so far outside of the color of the law that they'll turn around and start beating people who have been immobilized and have absolutely no defense, we've got something seriously fundamentally wrong with how we're letting this go. And that's not just something fundamentally wrong with the police system and the government. That's something fundamentally wrong with society. Because when a society will allow a group of thugs to be able to run around unchecked and do actions like this, it's imperative that you change it. Otherwise, the society itself is going to fail, because eventually that's going to become the mindset of not only the ruling class but also the class that is underneath it. And then it just becomes almost like a Mad Max situation where it's everybody for themselves. Yes.
We went out.
Oh,
I let you talk right up to the end. That's what I was doing this for.
Gotcha. It's all good. I didn't see it. Yeah, I saw that we were getting close on it, so I tried to just mix the two stories right in.
I just realized I never really did schedule the 12-year-old slammed story back in, other than mentioning it.
Oh yeah, I see that.
Do you want to read that story and to tell us about that story?
Which story is it?
The school cop slammed 12-year-old girl. I can send you a link though.
I'm looking for it here. I haven't read the article. I watched the video, but I didn't have sound when I did it. So.
This next segment has two stories sitting in it. Do we want to remove one of those to let that go? Because
our last segment only has one. I think we can hit all of them.
Okay. Yeah, because
the two that are 11:33, I'm just gonna do as like a passing.
Okay. Yeah, 11:47. That one honestly is something that I know we covered on Monday. It's one of those that it's really easy to read a little bit of a passage off of it, but it's really more about saying it and then discussing it. So that one's a discussion piece for sure.
Yeah, Josh, you don't have the show notes, but the last story of the night is about the epidemic of police abuse and domestic violence.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So do you want me to read this story then, or not?
Yeah. You don't have to go word for word. Like, I'll just pass it off to you. I'll say, like, Josh, you got a story. You want to fill us in on the top story, Josh?
Yeah.
Okay. Just to make sure, real quick, I'm gonna after he's done with that, I want to do a quick update on the Baltimore cops. You remember the Baltimore officer that had gotten indicted for slapping that student?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was in pre-trial. They dropped all the charges, so I think we should update on that. Considering
you can open with that. I'll let you open. Actually, I'll just.
All right, just point to me when you want me to talk.
Yeah, I'm gonna play the commercials. Just the usual thing. When you hear it go off, count to 3, and you can bring us in.
Sounds good.
All right.
Listening to Free Talk Live, you changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amped is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
Welcome back to Cop Block Radio. This is Matt of Carbon County Cop Block. So I remember last month we had a story that came out of Baltimore that had 2 officers being charged with felony child abuse for slapping a 16-year-old student across the face and eventually kicking him. It turned out at the end of it that they basically said that they didn't know if the student was an actual student and was trying to get him off of the property. Luckily, this was recorded by another student on their cell phone. Well, anyways, Anthony Spencer, who was the man who slapped the student and was charged, went to court this last Thursday. Now, you would think, okay, they have him on video, they have everything that they need to continue through, but lo and behold, the prosecutors decided to drop the felony charges. That's insane. You have him on video slapping a child, and just does that. It's insane. But the reason why I bring this up is because you would think that, you know, after having the video of the girl being slammed out of her desk last year, that then having something like this, you would really have a really big crackdown on officers committing violence inside schools. Unfortunately, that's not the case, and I'm going to kick it over to Josh because he has an update on this soon-to-become epidemic.
Yeah, recently there was a girl in Texas, Rhodes Middle School. She was body slammed to the ground by a police officer. Basically, I believe for being black. The officer, Joshua Kim, claimed that the girl was being confrontational with another student, and so at that point he grabbed her from behind, and when she did what anybody would do, is just try to struggle to get away from somebody who just grabbed you from behind when you don't understand what's going on, he basically power slammed her to the ground. And why I say I think it was simply for being black was, what he was reading as a confrontation was maybe just a cultural difference, some loudness and liveliness that might not happen in his, white bread working class neighborhood, but was maybe normal to those students. So he took this just basically normal everyday interaction between 2 people and turned it into a massive jam-packed couple of minutes of violence.
When did this become acceptable to start calling cops in schools? This started. I got to tell you, this started when I was in my junior and senior year of school, because I had the cops call on me more than once in school. I had one time they called the cops at my tech school because they had a zero tolerance program. They called the cops for me talking in class, and then when the teacher reprimanded me, I kept whispering to the person next to me. And they called the cops and charged me with disorderly conduct while I was in school. This is not when did this become a thing? Was it right around then? Did I get right in on the beginning of it?
Yeah,
cops in schools.
Yeah, I remember
schools
at the same about the same time. It was like my junior year. My school, I went to Bangor High School out in Pennsylvania. I am pretty sure it was about my junior year that they started having officers come in, and they were state police at that.
No wonder I got a chip on my shoulder about cops. I was charged with disorderly conduct and handcuffed in school for talking in class. like that really happened. There's a record of well, no, it's probably a juvenile record, so it's probably sealed. But no, that crap really happened. They put me on juvenile probation for that.
Mm-hmm.
It's insane to me that what used to be just kids being rascals and the school laughing it off and it turned into the police state moved into the school. The streets and the adults were not good enough. Now the schools, now kids younger and younger and younger are being charged with crimes stemming from school.
Yeah.
Why don't these professionals in the schools know how to handle kids anymore? I mean, but the cases are more bizarre all the time. I heard Cop Block reported on a story about a 6 or 7-year-old kid in kindergarten that was throwing a temper tantrum, and a cop came and handcuffed him to teach him a lesson.
Yep.
You remember that story, guys?
Oh yeah. When I was that age, the only time we ever had an officer inside the school was when that one dude decided to come to the school and teach us all about the drugs we would eventually grow up to love.
Yeah, the DARE program.
I'm joking. But
that was when the cops came into the schools for us too. Lately, I mean, I remember the story of one of the first stories I ever wrote for Cop Block was about an 11-year-old kid that kissed his classmate and was charged with sexual assault. Gave a kid a kiss and charged with sexual assault. What the hell is happening? They don't want to wait till you're an adult to put you away anymore. They just want everybody away.
Yep.
A little bit scary. What word would you use to call this? To call the school police situation, Josh? An epidemic? What word? If you had to describe it in a word, what would you call it?
I can't hear Josh.
Oh, Josh's sound went out again.
Yep. I would call it absurd. That's what I would call it. It's really absurd.
Am I back?
There he is.
I would call it a natural extension of what schools already do to sort of indoctrinate you and make you fear and become compliant. And I mean, they've been doing that since the industrial billionaires of the last century were busy building those systems. So it seems almost natural that it would eventually become explicitly prison-like.
I'm scared because I'm not homeschooling my kids like I should. They're in public school.
Yeah, I will not be doing that, by the way.
You won't be homeschooling?
No, I will be. Yes, we will be homeschooling our child.
Well, I mean, it's become a serious topic lately because just recently my kid's preschool stationed cops outside to give all the parents tickets who were dropping off the kids in a non-drop-off zone. So, I'm really concerned at this point.
Well, of course they did, because not only do they support the police in the sense of the non-drop-off, and that's why they have that. But then, isn't your daycare? Isn't the director's the wife of a police officer?
Yeah.
Yeah, so she was just helping him generate some revenue. Maybe he was behind on his quota.
Yeah. Well, no. This is totally different. Daycare is a private daycare, actually. That
Oh, okay.
they managed to keep that. I didn't even find out about that till after 2 years after my kids have been going there.
Gotcha.
So they managed to keep that down low, and they know exactly what I do for a living. So, no, they've been very respectful and professional. But no, the actual school my son goes to, he's in 2nd grade.
Gotcha. Okay.
They replaced the crossing guards and put cops there for a little while, just to ticket everybody. They gave out 30 tickets in one day. It was like, it scares me to think that this police state thing that I fight is that close to my children. Like, once you talk about kids, it comes to a different level. Josh, do you have any kids?
No, I don't.
I know, Matt, you have a kid already, so you know already, like, the parental instinct to protect and like wanna like just block anything from ever coming their way that's dangerous.
Yeah, the last thing I want around any of my son and my son to be is this police state. It kind of scares me that I've seen it advance itself so much in the last 15 years since I was a kid, that it really scares me to see, or it really scares me to wonder what it's going to be like when they hit adulthood and really have to start dealing with this as well. Yeah. And it scares me even more to start seeing that they don't even have to be an adult to get caught up in the system anymore.
Right. When
I was a teenager, my dad would always warn me. He'd tell stories about the things that he did when he was younger, and he would tell me, don't do that because you can't get away with it nowadays. The cops are a lot worse. And I mean, that was, in the early 90s, and the amount of worse they've gotten since then is so much exponentially greater than just in that gap we had before.
Yeah, totally agree. Well, we're going to be right back. We're going to hit on a bunch of stories in our last segment. Whoops. Looks like we might have to actually drop the story.
Yeah, that, or we're just going to have to, like, all three of us pick one and just speed through it. I really don't want to drop the augmented reality one.
Neither do I. I love virtual reality. It's my shit. Don't mess with my VR.
Yo, speaking of VR, did you see the VR freaking video that we put up for Cop Blast podcast? Did you see that?
Oh no, yeah. How'd you get that camera? I saw the photo. I didn't see the VR. I tried to play the VR video on my phone and it wouldn't work.
Yeah. Oh no, it works. It works. That's the 360 camera that we have.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. We're gonna attempt to start when we go out to any of the events to start recording everything and that. There's plenty of different attachments, it's on the head, on the chest, on a. That one was about $350 if I remember right, but they have some that are pretty decent that are around the $110, $120 area. Yep.
Purse.com right now. Get signed up and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you.
We still didn't decide what stories we were going to drop.
Everything at Amazon. Purse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
Imagine someone in your community getting in their car, turning on the radio, and hearing the Liberty Radio Network. You can make that vision a reality with your own radio station. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how you can put our programs on the air in your area. You can have LRN.FM running around the clock, and you can even add in your own local shows. Building a radio station is simple, but programming isn't. That's where LRN.FM comes in. Learn more at broadcast.lrn.fm. That's broadcast.lrn.fm.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Wednesday, gold is down $5 at $1,249 per ounce. Silver is 6 cents higher at $16.31 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $423 US. Robertson Roberts has been a trusted source for physical precious metals for nearly 40 years. Give us a call at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
The three most important things you can do for LRN.FM are: 1. Let your friends know you're listening to LRN.FM on your social networking profile. 2. Buy the things you buy online through shop.lrn.fm. 3. Give $5 a month to the AMP program at amp.lrn.fm. It's
I think we can do all three of these.
program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented groups. Support
I
all
don't
your
have one.
organizations, but you get $5 a month.
I'll bring us in and I'll do 2 and just passing
Money,
conversation.
power, and respect are all
In
your
the passing conversation, do the epidemic in the groups.
an industry.
No, I'm gonna do the
33s.
the virtual reality and the groups.
Your nerves.
Do you want me to take the groups?
The approval you seek.
Because I did the groups last week, so I can just update on it.
Exactly what to place into the right systems, the right way, the first time, so you get approved. Get up to $100,000 in instant business credit. Many people
You'll see what I
cash
mean.
on the spot.
Okay.
Use 2 tools.
It'll be
in
really,
your
really
corporate
fast because
credit
we'll
engine.
talk and then we'll discuss
Walk into the bank and get your
third
project
story
funded today.
All right.
until we close.
CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com. Credit Success Secrets Revealed is explosive and ignites instant results. Dial 1-800-707.
I want to mention the
That's 1-800-707-8719. 1-800-707-8719. Or just go to CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
We are back with our final segment of the night.
Yeah, we're going to be doing a quick one here.
We were just talking over the break about my new favorite thing. Guys, anybody out there listening, virtual reality is real now. Virtual reality is real. Like, this is not sci-fi. Google it. There are devices you can buy. I actually have a Galaxy Note 5, badass cell phone that hooks into an Oculus headset and becomes virtual reality, where you're
This is not a drill.
where you are immersed in a new place. Like, you seriously can feel your stomach drop on the roller coaster simulations. This stuff is crazy. So, of course, the cops got to ruin this shit, man. What's the matter with them? Virtual reality was supposed to be the coolest thing ever. And, of course, like, okay, so when you're in these things, you can look around. And there are simulations of, like, helicopter rides around the city where you can actually, like, check out the details of the sides of the buildings and stuff. Well, what the cops are doing is taking flybys past the city and doing augmented reality to spy on the citizens.
Yep.
Isn't that fun, guys? They stole our fun toy.
Of course, the second we have something that's fun, they've got to ruin it. That's how police work.
That sucks. Like, how is...
Tron for Nazis.
Yeah, the technology definitely has to catch up with the law because there's got to be privacy laws and stuff. If they can just fly a drone over our house and get all the same information that they would get in a warrant, like, that's not cool. That's not okay.
You know what? I think where it really comes down to is that the cops are really just lonely, you know, in their personal lives and don't have friends, so they just want to fly over and get that so they can put on their own VR headsets and go to our barbecues and things like that.
Yeah, I feel like that they have things to do.
I do have friends. They just don't know I'm here.
Well, you can check out all the details of that story at copblock.org. We'll have our show post up with all the details in it, and I encourage you guys all to check that out and to write a letter to somebody or write an email, complain about that, because they are invading on privacy. Like, when you go into VR, you'll see what I mean. You really can see everything around you. So if they get a 360 camera view of, like, your living room live, they can literally stand like as if they're in your living room and look around and see every single little thing in there.
Yep.
So, well, we're going to jump over to Matt real quick. You're going to update us on the groups page, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I remember last week I told you guys that the groups page was going to get an update. Well, the update has dropped. Over 100 new groups have been added, so you can find yourself a movement that is near you, and also gives you the ability to set one up on your own if you do not see one that is near you. It also gives people the ability to go there, and once they're there, they can see any group that's in their area and immediately contact or join that group. So it's a really awesome update that is really going to help the networking abilities of not only everybody who's in Cop Block, but everybody who's in the police accountability movement.
Earth Accountability Project was at it. You're the other project that you're a part of, right?
Yes, it was.
I saw that the Peaceful Streets was at it. It's just awesome That's such a smart move because this isn't about a competition.
Right.
This is not a competition at all. And I mean, this is something I did want to touch on this. It's come up recently a lot, like people fighting with each other, like, okay, the Free Staters and Porkfest and all that, like fighting with each other. I've had my own things with other activists. Like, at the end of the day, none of us have to be friends in our personal life, but we're all fighting for the same thing. We all want to see each other win, because when we win, when the other person wins, we win. We're all winning.
Yep.
We all want to fight for the same thing. Don't not show up to a protest because the guy you don't like's not going to be there. What kind of schmuck are you? Like, come on, we're all fighting something bigger than us. This is so big. When you go onto the group's page now, you can see how massive it is. And this is not even everything. This is just what they can get in a week. So it's really cool. It's really cool to see how big it's getting and to see, to be able to make change the way that we are, to be able to affect things.
Exactly, and just to find things in your area is now just a click away. I mean, that is awesome.
Yeah, it really is. So I urge everybody, check out copblock.org/groups and see what's closest to you. So our final story of the night is one that CopBlock has reported on a number of times, which is the epidemic of violence within police relationships. The child abuse that occurs, the abuse between, the physical abuse between like husband and wife, it is so bad that it's being called an epidemic by even police circles. This is not outsiders calling this problem.
Well, it has to be considered an epidemic when 40% of law enforcement families are reporting some sort of domestic violence. And if you think about it, although the last study was really looked at,
dude, that's who's going to report it. That's only the ones that report it.
Exactly.
You're not saying anything.
Right. So when you think about it, even if it's the 40% that's been reported, if you think about the fact that there is 1.1 million police officers out there, now that's only a report that's from 2008. So obviously in 8 years there's an increase because that's how inflation and anything works. But there's the increase there. But if you think about 40% of 1.1 million, that's a hell of a lot of families. That's a hell of a lot of abuse that's going on. And the blue line of silence is really protecting it. So it really is an epidemic, and it's sad.
Well, the story that just came across CopBlock was actually written by a police officer, a former police officer wife, a whistleblower, so to speak. And I can't imagine what life is like for her. I mean, she crossed the thin blue line, but she was never like a full member, I guess you would say. Like, are they targeting her at this point? I don't even know. But
yeah, but I mean, think about it. I mean, when you're getting abused and everything in your everyday life, and you're not an officer or an officer's family, you think the first thing you can do is call the cops. Well, if you're being abused by another officer, the only person or people that you have left to call is this guy's friends. How safe do you really feel knowing that you're stuck and that this person can go right up to the line of almost killing you and nobody's going to do anything about it? That's a scary situation.
When they write it up in the reports, even if they do report on it, it's not called domestic violence.
Nope.
They have their own term for it. And it's, I forget exactly what it is. It's officer-involved domestic violence or something like that.
Yeah.
They have their own special category. Yep. Talk about a double standard. They don't even treat, like, when you show up to a house, when a cop shows up to a house, I don't know about your state, Josh, but in Pennsylvania, if a cop shows up and they even suspect that someone has touched someone else, someone has to go to jail. That's the law. Someone has to go to jail. They have to take someone away in handcuffs.
Mm-hmm.
They're not allowed to walk away and say, okay, everything's cool. So
well, I mean, it shows that there's some crazy stuff that happened, because even back in 2009, there was an officer named Joseph Longo, and he killed his estranged wife, stabbing her more than a dozen times in their home before stabbing himself to death. And at the end of the day, the police chief came out and said that it was a completely unexpected incident and that no one could have prevented it. But on the turn, her family filed a $100 million wrongful death suit saying the city officials didn't do enough to see his troubling behavior, considering that at least more than 5 times in the week prior to this happening, she had made phone calls to police supervisors saying that, I'm fearing for my life, he's going to do something to me, and they just didn't do anything because they kept it quiet. That's the problem right there. And because there's going to be domestic violence. It's an unfortunate side effect of humanity. But the fact is that they have the ability to stop it, and they don't, because they're more worried about their friends' careers and the lives of these people who have to go through this horrible event.
That's not even to mention the domestic violence that police cause. When you destroy lives to send people to prisons and things, you create the sort of people who end up, committing domestic violence. So they're one of the largest groups that commits it, but they're also one of the largest groups that causes it, all throughout our, culture.
Yep. Yeah, the police create criminals. I mean, you're jailing. You go out and you jail a parent, then that kid has to grow up with one parent. And one parent in jail, that kid ends up being a criminal because he had one parent, and then it's just a vicious cycle. It's seriously a vicious cycle. Now, I'm not saying every one-parent family turns into a criminal, but I'm just saying it lays the woodwork to create another inmate, basically.
I'm not a criminal.
We're cutting out. You can find me at Lehigh Valley Cop Block on Facebook and on YouTube.
You can find me at Carbon County Cop Block on Facebook and at Oath Accountability on Facebook. And you can also see me Monday nights at 9:30 p.m. for Cop Blast Podcast.
And you can find me all over the internet. Just look up my name. And if you get a chance, go to GoFundMe and check out the Autumn Steel Justice the Autumn Steel Justice campaign, where we'll be raising money to help bring justice to someone who was killed by police.
Also, don't forget to go to copblock.org/store and check out all the fun items that we have there. Get yourself a shiny badge that says badges don't grant extra rights. And download Cell 411 for all of your live streaming needs. Make sure that you get them live and streaming when you come across a police officer.
Thank you guys for tuning in. Peace. See you next week.
See you next week, guys.
Good night, everyone.